There are multiple techniques for solving polynomial equations, but the first thing you always need to do is factor out the greatest common factor. This tutorial is about factoring the greatest common factor from polynomials. In this example, 15x to the fourth minus 20x to the third plus 35x squared, we're going to factor out the greatest common factor. To determine the greatest common factor, you should find the prime factorization for each term. So let's start with this term, 15x to the fourth. Fifteen can be factored as 3 times 5, and x to the fourth can be factored as x times x times x times x. The next term is negative 20x to the third. Twenty can be factored as 2 times 10. 10 is not prime, so that number needs to be factored again. So we're going to bring down the 2. 10 can be factored as 2 times 5. All of those are prime numbers. We're going to bring down the x to the third power, which is x times x times x. And we don't want to forget about the negative number, so we're also going to bring down a negative 1. That's the prime factorization for negative 20x to the third. Last, let's factor 35x squared. $35 can be factored as 5 times 7, both prime numbers, and x squared can be factored as x times x. Now that you have the prime factorization for each term, you need to determine what numbers are common. It looks like we have a 5 common to everything, so a 5, and a 5. We're going to take that number out. We have an x common to every term, so we're going to circle that for each term and take it out. We have another x common for each term, so we're going to circle that and take that out. That is the last thing that we have common for each term. So we can rewrite this, and we should rewrite this greatest common factor as 5x squared. That means we can take a 5x squared out of each of these terms. When we do that, it's going to look something like this. 5x squared, and then we're going to have parentheses. Inside the parentheses, we're going to have our first term, 15x to the fourth. Well, we already took out the 5x squared. That's leaving us with a 3 and an x squared. So I'm going to write that inside, 3x squared. Next, we have negative 20x to the third. Well, when we take out that 5x squared, we're left with a 2 times a 2 times an x times a negative 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times x is 4x times negative 1 is negative 4x. And lastly, we're going to see what's left with 35x squared after we take out the 5x squared. And we are left with a 7. So we're going to go ahead and add 7. And that is how you determine the greatest common factor for a polynomial.